Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser. I'm here today to welcome you to another Post-Verse. If Brittany survived 2007, then I can survive after this. So see what books I'm picking up on this week's new comic book day, the 6th, that sounds about right, of October. Y'all check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Alright, 3 reminders for this week. Number 1, if you have not entered the 1100 subscriber giveaway, click this link and comment on the video. Number 2, I've got a Whatnot pop auction scheduled for this Thursday at 7:30 Central. And number 3, episode number 2 of Shop Talk is scheduled for this Thursday at 9:30 Central. So let's talk books. You don't hear me very often say this is going to be a light week, and this is going to be a light week because I'm spending under $100 on new books. So let's talk about what's coming out. Number 1 from Aftershock is Almost America. Number 2, I am picking up the second Defection, a story of 2 Russian operatives who are trying to defect their way to the United States from the Soviet Union. Number 1 was an interesting read. I can't remember what territory, protectorate, island, whatever they're on, but it'll be interesting to see them as strangers in a strange land. Next up from DC is Batman 114. It's Fear State Part 3. I know Part 1 was Fear State Alpha. Number 1 was Part 2, Batman 113. I'm not good at remembering these things, but I'm intrigued in looking at Batman versus the Mayor versus the new Robot Sentry program. Intriguing read. And I'm sorry for being lispy because last week while you got Stabbity Bunny, this week I have 75% of teeth and I still sound lispy. Next from DC is Batman The Adventure Continues, Season 2, Number 5. I'm an issue behind on this, but if you're a Batman the Animated Series kind of fan, then you're going to be intrigued in this book, especially if you read Season 1. From Mad Cave Studios is Bountiful Guard Number 2. I loved Number 1 a lot. It was my Number 2 pick of the week when it came out, because you are looking at children who had been thrust early into being advisors into what they can do to make their starship travel to the beyond be more successful. Very interesting read, especially if you're a sci-fi fan. Next up from Aftershock is Chicken Devil Number 1. This is about a dude who owns a Nashville chicken, like hot chicken restaurant, which that's a sandwich I miss. That if I chew on a good Nashville hot chicken right now, I'd be happy. But he ends up being some sort of vigilante. It's a wild kind of premise. This is something that 2 or 3 members of last week's Shop Talk were interested into diving into. So this is going to definitely be something we talk about on Thursday. Next up is Deadpool Black, White, and Blood Number 3. This has been a good pleasure read. This has been my favorite of the black and white bloody kind of variant that we've seen from both Marvel, DC, and even Dynamite to this point. So check it out. It's like 3 or 4 single short stories in a book. Next up from Oni Press is Bag Rapture Number 1. I'm intrigued into getting into more non-Rick and Morty Oni Press books, so We've got some kind of stoner gal who is the barrier between us and the end of the world. Y'all check that out. Next up from Black Box Comics, it says Blackout, it's wrong, is Jin Hunter number 3. This is written by one of my favorite dudes, Jay Sandlin. This series is pure chaos, and this is one of the things that I missed out on, and I pre-ordered the whole series from Black Box, so I know that number 2 was in my mailbox within 1 or 2 days of number 2 being released. So I'll be ready to catch up on this if it's not at my shop on Wednesday. It's good. Good. Next 3 books will be easy to talk about. Excalibur 24, way behind. Firepower 16, thought I dropped it. This series has just slowed down where I'm in the trade-only vibe for this. Hellion 16, behind. Next from DC, technically I'm behind from this because this is one of the books that is a digital first and then becomes hardcover or floppy, is Puzzle Box number 3. I'm enjoying this hunt for who really killed everybody. Y'all know I like Jim Gordon in full-on detective mode. I like how the Joker in this book is playing as many games as humanly possible. So I like this a lot. Number 3 from Vault is the last book you'll ever read, number 3. This might be the first book I read of the week. I like seeing how Olivia's book in issues 1 and 2 pushed for different emotional expressions. Number 1 was murder. Number 2 is lust. So I want to see what happens in number 3. Next up from Image is The Me You Love in the Dark. This was one of the books with issue number 2 I put on my might drop list, but Scotty Young did enough to drag me in to the universe, especially when the woman got to talk to the ghost, that I was intrigued by. So I'm excited for number 3. Next up from Vault is Money Shot number 15. This is probably the first book I read of the week. This book is ridiculous. I love every second of it. I love picking it up at my secondary LCS on Wednesdays, the one that's right next to my school, so when people ask me what I'm doing during my playing period at the end of the day, I can yelp that I'm reading space porn. New Mutants 22, I'm behind. That's a dope looking cover though. I'm still way behind. Next up from DC is Nice House on the Lake number 5. This is another instant classic from James Tynion. We're learning a little bit more nuance both about the house, about the relationship between the individuals in the house, and this is almost like a weird twisted Big Brother, because they're like, here's what I request, here's what I desire, and it shows up while other people are trapped in their hell. Next, from AWA Studios is Out number 1. This is a World War II Nazi-era kind of thriller. It's something that this feels categorically different from anything else from the publisher, and there were at least 3 of us on last week's Shop Talk that picked this as a book we were excited to talk about. So we get Nazis and vampires and insanity. Yep. What I don't get to say very often about an indie comic. Next up from Aftershock is Seven Swords number 4. Last one I read was number 2. I liked the first 2. I don't know what took me so long to read number 3, but we'll see if I have this rated by the end of the week. Next up from DC is Swamp Thing number 8. This has been one of my favorite titles. From DC, I like learning what Levi is picking up from more of his past. We like seeing more of the growing of the strength from the Green Dragon, that there are a lot of things going on that I'm sad that this is going to be done in 12 issues. Next up from Zenescope is Van Helsing, the Beast of Exmor #1. I don't know why I picked this up. I can't remember if there's a creator who's tied to it that I liked. But I'm slowly starting to enjoy more Zenescope titles. This cover at least looks pretty cool, so we'll see how I feel at the end of the week. And our last book of the week from Black Mask Studios is White #4. Y'all know how high I am on this title, especially after #3. I don't know if it's going to come out this week or if it gets delayed by a week or two, because that's been the disjunct between League of Comic Geeks and reality. But it's fun watching the expansion of the black and white universe continue to occur. This is normally the point in time where we would talk about the Scout books we're excited to talk about, but League of Comic Geeks is still a little behind based on the printing delays that Scout has dealt with. But I know my little stabby friend doesn't have anything he's involved in this week because he's on a little bit of a hiatus. But see, if you've got any Scout books coming out your shop this week, you should definitely check them out. He only gets kissy so he doesn't kill me. So as always, y'all, I know if you're watching this live, you're going to let me know what you think in the live chat over here. If not, you're watching this, let me know in the comments down below if there's something that I'm missing out on. But as always, y'all, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4.